I'm here at the Vigne Winery for the first time. First time getting to meet the winemaker here, Terry Colton. He's the winemaker for 81 wines and assorted wines as well. So he's going to give me the tour of everything that you see here today.
Welcome, Terrell. It's great to have you here. And we'll go through, we'll taste some of the barrels, and I'll show you some of the oak we used to try to make the cab that we made for you, and some of the techniques we've been trying.
So over the summer, they sent me some different samples, different bottles. You know, this guy right here, I mean, I leaned on his area of expertise to really bring my wine to fruition.
We were trying to make the wine also in Terrell style, so we wanted it to be bold, but with a bit of elegance to it too.
When you think about my career, you know, when I reflect on it, when you think about what Cab is known for, obviously it's those three characteristics: big, bold, and dry. I'm gonna scratch the dry part because I wasn't dry by any means. When you think about big and bold, I think that's what I tried to exude on the football field. And as you said, with a little bit of flair, a little bit of elegance. When you look at the bottle, the aesthetics of the bottle, the label, there's a lot of work that went into it. It's been an amazing experience thus far. So let's go. Let's get you guys on this tour.
This is our main tank room here. So we've got a couple bays over here, and then we also have an outside section where we do a lot of fermentation during the harvest. So the grapes come in, they come up to the upper pad, and then they go across the conveyor and drop into the destemmer. And we crush the grapes, and we ferment them outside in the bigger tank. And then after fermentation, we press them off and then drain them in here, and they live in the tanks for a little while, and then we bring them into the barrels, and they live in the barrel room until they're ready to be bottled. That's when we pick the various barrels that we want to use. That's sort of the process. Let's shoot over here to the barrel room, and we'll try actually a couple barrels and show you what we're doing.
So these things, they just sit in here for years, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. When we fill them, we keep them topped. You lose a few liters every month out of the barrels for evaporation. So then we have to take a full barrel and go around and top all the barrels because it'll be down a little bit. And you don't want that oxygen in there because that will spoil the wine. So you fill it all the way up to the top again. You put the little rubber stopper called the bung back inside, and then you know, you wait another month, you do it again. So we basically, once a month, we top every single barrel in this barrel room.
Oh, wow.
So
that's a lot of barrels to be topping.
Yeah, we got a crew, so it works.
Okay, I was like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, you got to have a system.
This is our cab. This is a part of the component that we use for your blend.
Okay.
So here, go ahead and try this. And this is from a newer French oak barrel. It's actually currently in an American oak barrel, but we just racked it into these after we made our blend.
Oaky.
Very oaky. When you use a wine barrel, the first year you use it, you get a lot of oak impact. Then when you use it a second and a third time, you get less impact and it becomes softer. You can see how this is almost overpowering.
Right, yeah, I tasted that, and I'm not even really, I'm not a sommelier. I'm new to the business, and I tasted that.
You got it right away.
Yeah, I was like, yo, that's oaky. Yeah.
The Sangiovese is an Italian grape.
Sangiovese.
So,
okay.
It's a little lighter, but when you add back we can try it here. When you add back some of the other fruit, it gets pretty fun. Now this is going to be totally different, Terrell, than the other one we just had.
Yeah, definitely.
It's much brighter, like a cherry character to it, but still nice and crisp and fresh. So you put that together with a little Cabernet, it gives you some backbone to it. And that makes those super Tuscan blends.
Yeah, is there a little carbonation?
There's some CO2 in here, and the CO2 still, because the wine is younger, and it's in suspension. So before we go to bottle, we actually adjust that. We'll bubble nitrogen or argon through it in little tiny bubbles, and we'll knock out some of that CO2, and you'll get it to just the right level.
So how much wine is in there?
This is about 4,000 gallons.
Oh, wow.
We try to keep all the tanks full. We don't like to have airspace.
Right, yeah, because it'll spoil, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
This machine here is the stemmer, and it knocks the grapes off the stems.
Oh, okay.
And the stems go down into the bottom auger, and they'll go out and into that dump truck, and we compost them.
Ah, for fertilization and stuff?
Exactly. And then the grapes will fall through there, and then we'll pump those into one of these tanks out here to ferment. And they'll ferment for about 2 weeks or so, and then we drain the wine off, and the wine goes in, and we keep the free-run wine at that point separate from the press fraction. But we compost all the pumice throughout the year, and then we use it for fertilization later, after a year later.
Yeah.
So every year we have a whole new crop of fertilizer.
Yeah.
Okay. So this tank...
Sauvignon Blanc.
And this was from the 2020 vintage, so it's brand new. This was grapes like 5.5 months ago. So it's, you know.
It tastes fresh.
It is very fresh and crisp.
It smells fresh, like real fruity.
It's been a fun wine for us. We have some really beautiful vineyards right around here, and this is always one of the very first grapes we get every year. It's because we pick this usually the last week of August. It comes in early, but we pick it at lower sugars because we don't want to have super high alcohol. We want it to be nice and fresh and crisp. But it's on a summer day. This is a really pretty wine.
Yeah, this is not bad, and yeah.
It's got a richness to it too. That's nice. So.
Not bad.
So let's head back inside. This is, the reason it's icy is we're actually cold stabilizing it. So if you take a white wine or rosé and you put it in the fridge and you see little crystals sometimes on the bottom, that's actually tartaric acid that's dropped out because it will drop out when it gets cold. So what we try to do is make it fall out here first
before it gets to the bottom.
So that when you get it, it doesn't have any of that precipitation coming out.
Right, gotcha.
So, and it doesn't affect the wine flavor. So if you see crystals in the wine, just don't pour them in your glass. You know, it's just that it is cosmetic. It's purely cosmetic. Sometimes people think it's glass, but it's not. But the color on this is really pretty. It's sort of that Provence salmon color. And there's 100% Sangiovese, so it's actually the same grape that we tried down there, but as a rosé instead. So what makes it rosé? What transitions it from Sangio to rosé? What we do, that's a great question. We bring it in and we crush it. We let it soak on the skins for about 8 hours, sometimes 10 hours. So it gets a little bit of the pigment from the skins, but not a lot. And then we press it off and we keep it in stainless and ferment it in stainless. So for rosé, you soak it for a few hours to get a little bit of color, and then you squeeze it off and you treat it like a white wine after that. And we used a different yeast on it too. We used a really tropical yeast on it to get that sort of fresh tropical character.
Yeah, definitely got to have some of this on deck for sure.
Yeah, and it's dry, but it has that fruit that gives it the perception of sort of a sweetness to it. But there's actually no residual sugar left in it, so it's a crisp, dry wine. It just has that super fruity character, and it's really young.
Sangio Rosé.
Got a couple fun experimental things I could show you if you like.
I'm down. Yeah, I'm down for that.
So this is 3 different grape varietals that we fermented together. So it's Mourvèdre, Petit Syrah, and Syrah, and we picked them at the same time. We put them in the same tank, and then what I did was I took the stems from the grapes because the stammer knocks the stems out, and we caught them in a bin, and then we laid them. We have a concrete stage actually on the back of the winery, and we laid them out on the stage and dried them out. So they went from being green stems to nice sort of brown tan stems, and then we punched those back into the fermentation on the 4th day. And we fermented them with the stems, and it gives it a really spicy.
Just like a plum.
Yeah, you get the plum from the fruit, and then you'll get like almost a nutmeggy character on the finish. So dry spiciness.
Yeah, that's a drier.
That's from the stems. So and that's it's sort of a fun process. So a little different, but it gives a really unique flavor to the wine and gives it a different structure. So
yeah, definitely does that. So this how you guys experiment with different wines?
Yeah, just make it interesting. If you do the same thing every year, it gets boring.
Right,
so
exactly.
You got to keep it fun.
Exactly. Just like women, you got to spice it up a little bit. Yeah.
So we'll prune them right back. All these will be cut down and
okay.
spurs going.
So how do y'all? Is there a system how y'all prune it? Is a machine comes in? And...
No, we do it by hand. By hand. And the guys will come through and they're really quick. We have our crew's really good, and they'll snip it all the way back and then all the way out. We always give it a really big drink at the end of the harvest, after we pick the grapes. Because what they stored from this year is what they start next year with. So you want to give them some nutrients and some water, and then they go dormant and they have that sort of hanging on there. So when they come out in the new year,
it's like a reservoir.
Exactly, like a little bit of a
reservoir, reserve.
Yeah. So you know, you don't want to have them wake up and be hungry, because then they don't do well.
Right, right.
So they want to wake up, and then they already have something to start pushing, and then you just keep it going at that point. There you go, bud. Thank you. All right. Cheers.
Cheers. '81 on the palate. What do you think about this?
I love it. I love the richness of the fruit on it, and I think the oak is nicely integrated, so it's not too chunky, like you didn't want it too chunky.
Right, right, exactly.
And it's but it's still got some power behind it.
Right, yeah. A little, yeah, packs a little punch, but the fruit kind of balances it out a bit.
And it just
it's smooth.
Spreads across the whole palate.
Exactly.
The nice thing too is we bottled it early, so it's already had 3 full months.
Yeah, that's what David was telling me.
And that makes it perfect.
Right.
But by the time it goes to the market and it's released, it's going to be perfect.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, he was telling me, obviously with the labels being kind of behind a bit, it gave it a little bit more time to
develop.
Sell. Yep.
Exactly.
So obviously we went through the design process, and then obviously you have your traditional, just standard labels. I wanted something a bit different because I wanted to stand out. And then I went to some grocery stores and went down the aisles just to see what kind of grabbed my attention. Right. You know what I mean? Aesthetically. And then, there are some colors that we had in mind. Obviously we chose gold, but there was a few other colors like red, teal, just your traditional black and white. And then I think just added an extra element to the bottle is just the texture of the label as well. And then this is gold foil.
Yeah.
And I think that pops, that stands out. Even just working with branding, marketing, reps and business people, they basically just said, like, when you're going to market with something, you can't go backwards. You gotta go with a bang. And so I just felt like, okay, if I'm gonna do this, I wanna do it right. I wanna enter this market, and again, I wanna enter it with a splash. And so this is what we came up with, and a lot of people have given the feedback of it looks classy, sleek, high-end, which is, sort of the characteristics and the look that I was going for. So I felt like the people that were involved, they helped me pull it off. Man, I'm like I said, I'm kind of speechless because I never thought this would actually ever happen.
What I love on the label though is that you went and did your homework, and you went to the grocery stores and walked the aisles, because that's so important when you're coming out with a label, to try to get that idea of what, because you'll see what catches your eye and then what everybody else is doing that's sort of mundane.
Right. Even if you don't know what you're doing, if you're a guy just going to the store and you're trying to impress a girl, if the wine doesn't taste bad, at least the bottle looks good.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think right here you get the best of both worlds.
Perfect.
The wine is good and the bottle looks good. Well, there you have it, everybody. Terry Colton here, who obviously has made 81 wine as well as assorted wines. You guys just took a tour with us. You kind of know the process. You guys can get you a job now, because he just gave you the laydown of everything that the process in which wine is made and how 81 came to fruition. So that's it. That's all, folks.
Cheers.
Go get that wine. 81vino.com.